I'm Head of Programming at Discovery Networks UK and Western Europe, and I have the pleasure today to interrogate, or at least to have a polite, friendly conversation with one of the leading media buyers and marketeers in the UK, Americo Campos Silva. As Global Media Manager for Shell, Americo has a budget of $250 million, some of which I think you're hoping to allocate here today with some of these good people, with which he buys media space and markets a range of Shell products, and in particular Shell lubricants worldwide. Since 2002, he's allocated that budget in partnership with the agency MediaCom, with whom he tells me Shell enjoy a very productive and mutually beneficial relationship and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future, as long as they don't screw it up. I'm delighted he's joined us today to give us a sense of Shell's strategy both here in UK and worldwide. So Americo, first off, with a global media strategy, you're looking at a whole range of different markets, and I just wanted to get a sense from you of which for you are the real target markets, which are the most important, and where is the strategy lying within those markets, would you say?
Well, today you have, Shell is a very big company, as you all know, and different businesses will have different priority markets, and those priority markets will drive the investment that we have in there. The way we assess those priorities has to do with the type of projects that we run in those markets, with the type of consumer archetypes that exist on those markets, the type of marketing problems that we try to solve, and the potential that those markets deliver to us. So that's very much the way we allocate the budgets, in a very rational and objective way.
Yes.
So trying to use as much data as possible to arrive to those conclusions.
You take one sort of crucial market, like say Latin America, and I remember when we spoke you were saying that part of the challenge you have is the emergence of national oil companies in places like Venezuela. How do you, as a global company, get round that? How do you sort of outwit the national companies and get your messages across?
Well, no doubt that the local companies in countries like Brazil or Malaysia are very, very strong and make our life very difficult. Companies like Shell, which have a global footprint, they need to use also global properties that are only available when you have a global scale and a global business. So in our case, for example, the Ferrari sponsorship that we have, it's one of those examples. So you use Formula One that is relevant all around the world, and the most iconic car brand as Ferrari, to drive that global footprint that a local company is not able to achieve.
Right, and it's interesting you bring up Formula One, because I guess that's a sort of a brand that everybody knows very well and is controlled with a vice-like grip by Bernie, as we know. So how do you make sure you have Shell's name sort of front and centre with a partner like Formula One?
Well, it's a partner like Formula One and Ferrari, because they are not easy to manage as well. And they sit in Maranello, and you have to go there. They don't go anywhere. That's the way it works. I'd say we have been in Formula One now for 60 years, so Shell is the most successful oil company in Formula One ever, with more than the double of the other company that is in second place. So we have an heritage, and that gives us a lot of credibility for this type of discussions. But you need to be very careful with all these copyright things, etc. And with Ferrari, of course, you can only do a certain type of activities that fit well with the Ferrari brand. So it's not expected that the sponsor starts using the Ferrari brand in a way that is not appropriate with the Ferrari story and heritage. Okay. So as far as you stay within those boundaries, you are fine.
Okay, okay. When we met, you said something interesting to me. You said it's really not about who has the biggest budget, and you said it's not necessarily about having the best product, although for the avoidance of doubt, Shell does have the best product. You said it's about working smart with media. It's about being innovative with media, and it's using the full breadth. So I wonder if you could give a sense of that from your perspective.
I mentioned that marketing is not about having the best product or the best or the biggest media budget, but of course you need to have a very good product, and you need to have a very significant amount of money and a good agency also to work with you. But in our case, our budget has been stable in the last 7, 8 years we have been spending the same amount of money. I just feel that today, due to a lot of effort that we have been doing internally and with also the help of MediaCom, our budget is much more impactful and we are able to extract much more from the same amount of money.
Right.
So by different reasons, so by understanding better the impact of our activities with econometric modeling, things like that, by having a very strong benchmark process in terms of our buys, which puts some pressure on the agency as well, and by having a very objective allocation of budget where the budget has the biggest potential to deliver results for us. So basically invest your marketing budget where you have the potential. As I used to say, the marketing budget is a permanent auction, and we will give the money to who will give us the best return. That's how it works.
Right, right.
So
And you use the sort of full range. I mean, obviously we've looked at long form, but you have a YouTube channel. Again, how have you sort of used the various different types of media at your disposal, would you say?
Well, today we have the Shell official YouTube channel where we have all the Shell video content, etc. And then we have this project, and there will be others. But since the beginning, specifically on this project, we were very aware of with all the respect, the limitations of Discovery in terms of reach, and we want to multiply your impact by 10, 20, 50 times, and to have a YouTube channel was always part of that strategy, as well as have other activities like global promotions and things like that. So we have developed 3 pieces that will go live on Discovery, but I think in total we have 68 pieces of content around this project that are now on YouTube channel and are distributed through other mediums.
Right.
And of course, to have the YouTube channel is okay. Yes, it's visible, it's there, but then you need to give some visibility to it, and you need to spend some media money to promote the YouTube channel. And those 2 million views that you mentioned, the majority of it is through bought media that we have to create more impact and more visibility to it. So I see there is a representative from Google in the room. I'm sure they are quite happy with that effort that we are doing. Hello, Richard. So, it is a very integrated project, and since the beginning it's just a big puzzle that you try to maximize its impact.
Yes.
By bringing different activities all together. It makes the project more complex, but at the same time much more impactful.
Well, it's quite a diverse range of media coverage that you're utilising, isn't it? And I just wonder how you assess the sort of main impact of that. How effective is it being? Is it the YouTube channel? Is it the long form? Is it everything together? How do you work out what is really driving sales? Because in the end of the day, you're into selling Shell lubricants. So.
Yes, and it's difficult to measure, specifically in the case of lubricants, which, as we describe, is a slow-moving consumer product, not a fast-moving consumer product. Everyone buys lubricant once a year, and they even don't know the brand they buy, because it just goes together with the service in the car. At least in the European markets, that's how it works. We try to measure it through econometric modeling, try to understand the impact of the different activities, and there are some ad hoc and bespoke pieces of research that we do to assess the impact of it. But in the markets where you don't have a very strong retail activity to sell lubricants, where the market is mainly driven by the channel and by the trade, like the majority of Europe, it's difficult to assess the impact of this type of activities. What we know from a qualitative perspective is that the trade, the channel, they love these things, and they love to see the cars and the engines at their extreme usage, and have the evidence that the product that they sell and they recommend, it's good. Of course, you tend typically you would do that through motorsport, which is the more normal way to do it. But you know, we need to go beyond motorsport.
Yes.
Motorsport is not enough. Everyone is there. It's just an entry window.
I want to talk about two specific campaigns. Now, the first one, I want to get to Driven to Extremes, but before we do that, I want to talk about Pennzoil in America, because it was quite interesting what you did in terms of targeting a specific group of consumers. So I wonder if you could give us a quick pen portrait of that.
So for those who don't know, Shell also has two American brands of lubricants, Pennzoil and Quaker State. In the case of Pennzoil, and in the United States, the retail channel is very strong. So there is, you treat lubricants almost like a fast-moving consumer good through Walmart and things like that. So very, very strong. So the impact of advertising is quite relevant. But everyone was targeting the same group of consumers, exactly with the same messages, telling exactly the same things, and we felt that we needed to get out from that mainstream type of communication and claim a new territory for us. So together with Mediacom, we looked at our audience and what was outside of motorsport and outside of traditional sports, what were other areas where our audience would be interested and would be engaged. And of course, music came very, very strong as that particular subject. But then, you know, going deeper on the data, we realized that in the US, it was not only music, it was specifically one type of music that was over-indexing a lot, and that was country music. And then we, you know, working with Mediacom, we said, well, this is a great opportunity. This is completely empty. No one is here. We will be completely alone, which is great. You know, it maximizes the impact of your marketing effectiveness when you are alone and you don't have competitors nearby. So we said, okay, let's do some effort on country music to test how it goes. Then let's try to identify a character that represents country music, and he needs to like cars. And then we identified this singer, Tim McGraw, which I didn't have any idea who he was before we had this project.
Tim McGraw is? I think most of us in the room.
But he's now coming to London even. Yeah, you know, it's amazing.
Coming to London, absolutely.
So last year we had this big project where we have sponsored the Tim McGraw tour, and we had a lot of activation events, a lot of content, a lot of video, promotional activities, etc. Tim McGraw loves cars, loves Pennzoil, and it was a very successful project. And Pennzoil is now a much stronger brand and delivering great results this year than ever in the past.
Fantastic. Have any of your competitors picked up on this? Are they also trying to target the country and Western
They are very much, one of them is very much on sports. They do everything around sports that is available, they are there. So let them spend all the money there. The other one is more hardcore motorsport, so let them be there as well, because we have the most iconic brand, so I don't bother with them.
No, nothing. Good, excellent. So having cornered the country music audience, I want to talk about Driven to Extremes a bit, because it was an extraordinary project. It was, you know, it was a great thing, as Martin has said, to be involved with. Managing talent is never easy at the best of times. Managing Hollywood talent ratchets up the stakes somewhat. What are you hoping that Driven to Extremes will achieve for the Shell brand?
Well, since the beginning, it was a breakthrough project for us. It was the first time we did, we did the HER 2050, which was a bit an experiment on corporate, but for lubricants, it was the first time we would ever do something like this. So there was an element of risk in it, but after all, I think the main objective is really to engage with an audience that typically doesn't really care about the lubricant that they choose for their car, and help them to understand that what you put inside your engine is really, really important and can make a big difference. At the same time, create a bit of entertainment,
right.
and bring to life the ultimate demonstration of the quality of your product and the capabilities of your product. And then different audiences will react differently to this project. As I said, the trade and those people that work on a daily basis with lubricants and love cars, etc. They, to watch this is better than go to Walt Disney for them,
right.
Or at least at the same level.
Right.
Going to Universal Studios or things like that for the children is the same. For this group of people, is the same thing to watch this type of programs. Yes. They really, really love it, and that's how you build an emotional connection with your audience, and how you build these long-term relationships that all the brands want to have with their audience.
Right, but I mean, it's interesting that you've gone to a sort of long-form documentary series in a way to kind of create that excitement. And obviously you use it in many different ways across many different media, but it's quite a bold move, I would have said, to go into that and also have the Hollywood talent on the sort of, as the surface layer of it.
I think we, to be honest, in the beginning we underestimated how bold it was. It was, let's say, we have made some decisions, and then the project just became more and more complex, and you had to solve a lot of problems that just pop up every day. Different problems every day were popping up, and it's a very complex production. And I have to say that both Mediacom and JWT, which was the creative agency behind all this project, it was painful in some moments. It was not easy, so don't think that this is easy to do, because it's not. But the final result was very good.
Yeah.
So I think everyone is very, very happy.
Good.
And this is just starting now.
Yeah.
So we will be milking this content for a long time.
Good, good, good. I'm very pleased to hear it. I want to get back to your budget. And
why?
So I've got a real vested interest in it. I'm very keen on getting hold of more of it. But with whom do you spend the most amount of money? Who are the sort of the media player? I mean, well, you don't have
He's leaving the room.
Yeah. Yeah. So Google, you spend a lot with.
Yeah. So these days, Google, Facebook, BBC, Discovery, CNBC, CNN,
right.
Bloomberg. In terms of the global partners that we work with, then of course you have the local channels in the countries. But at the global level, I would say Google, Facebook, CNBC,
okay.
CNN.
And what's the secret to a sort of really successful relationship with a major media player? For example, you with Google or you with Discovery?
Well, I think I like to have a direct relationship with the media owners, but Mediacom is always present on the room, and I make sure that they do the job they need to do for the money that I pay them.
Yes.
So I don't tend to do any deals with media owners at all.
No.
All those deals are done through Mediacom, and I push them to be very tough on those negotiations.
Yes.
That's what I expect them to be.
Yeah.
But of course, it is important that you have the possibility also to interact with the media owners and understand some of the problems that exist, some of the opportunities, and that is fine. But there is nothing under the table going on.
No.
Yeah. So the media owners know that we always buy through Mediacom, and Mediacom knows that I will always push them to do good deals.
That sounds like a very healthy relationship. Good, and a useful reminder.
That's how it works.
Yeah, definitely. Before I open it up to everyone else's questions, I just want to talk about the UK market specifically, because this is a tough market to sell consumer product for Shell. I mean, obviously most of us, I don't know if you're like me, but don't usually tinker under the bonnet, but just the annual service, they take care of it. It's not something, I'm not going to be probably a core target customer. I'm sorry about that. But you know, how do you overcome that challenge in a market like the UK?
For lubricants?
Yes.
Well, the UK, like most European markets, the channel where you sell that you sell lubricants through is quite sophisticated. It's mainly dominated by the car brands.
Yeah.
And basically it's an end-to-end solution for the consumer. You just leave your car, it gets serviced, and the lubricant is part of that package, and that's it. You see?
Yeah.
And you trust that the workshop where you leave the car will use a good lubricant for your cars, and that's it. The involvement of the final consumer is very, very limited.
Yes.
So unless you belong to a very specific group that really loves the car and really loves the engines and is very keen to understand the lubricant, etc., unless you belong to that very small group of people, you are not interested in the type of lubricant that you put in the car. So all the effort in the UK and most European markets is with the channel, with the trade, with the influencers.
Yeah.
So all these small pockets of influencers that you have here and there in social media forums, things like that,
yes,
are quite relevant for us. But in terms of marketing effort from a business, is more, I would call it, is closest to a business-to-business model,
yes,
rather than to a business-to-consumer, while other markets are very, very different from that.